This is Gary. I want to tell you a story of adventure today. This is a story that goes back to my childhood. I had a friend who was a 30-year Navy veteran. His name was Ernest Malman. He was called the pantsless gunner of the Panay. And I met Ernest. I was very interested in boats, and I met Ernest at the boatyard. Ernest had a big 30-foot cruiser, and his brother had a 28-foot cruiser down that they kept in the same boatyard, and I would go out with them and enjoy the boating. Ernest had said to me, he said, Gary, he said, anytime you'd like to come down and take the rowboat out or the kayak, he said, feel free. He says, I trust you with the boats. Enjoy them. And I thought that was great. So one day after school, I thought, gee, I've got the whole afternoon. I think I'll go down to the boatyard. So I took the bus down to the boatyard, which was at the end of Steinway Street, and it was the Bowery Bay boatyard. Ernest had a kayak there that belonged to his nephew, Carl. And I thought, well, I'll just take the kayak out and I'll paddle around a little bit. So I jumped in the kayak, had my life preserver there, and I had a little hoodie that I put on. It was a kind of a rainproof hoodie. I paddled out, and the current started carrying me downriver towards South Brother Island. And I thought, gee, that'd be great if I could paddle down to South Brother Island and I'll explore the island on my own. I usually went there with my friend Ernest, but I'd be able to go there alone and explore it. Now, South Brother Island was a part of three islands. South Brother Island was on the south side. North Brother Island was on the north side, and then there was Rikers Island, the big prison island in New York City, was right next door to that. At low tide, you could actually walk from South Brother Island to the Rikers Island prison. So I'm paddling away, and all of a sudden the clouds start getting cloudy out there, and I thought, oh man, don't tell me we're going to have a storm come up. Well, I thought to myself, well, look, I'll just go to South Brother Island, turn around, and I'll head back to the boatyard. Well, I paddled down. I got to South Brother Island. I put the boat on the beach for a little bit, stayed there a little while, and I saw a thunderstorm coming. And I thought, I better try and get back to the boatyard before this thunderstorm hits. I started paddling, and the current was going against me. And I'm paddling and paddling and paddling, and I'm not making much headway. And I think, oh my goodness, how am I going to get back to the boatyard? Finally, it started raining, and the lightning, and the thunder. And I thought, I gotta do something. And nearby was a navigation buoy. And so I took a rope and I tied the bow of the kayak to the navigation buoy. Now I knew it wasn't right to do that. It was against the law. But I thought, I'm in a bad way here. The current is going so hard. And if I don't stop and get a rest, I'm not going to be able to make it back to the boatyard. So here I am, and I'm ducked underneath my rainproof hoodie, and I'm sitting there, and the rain is coming down. And it's fortunate that the kayak wasn't open. It had a nice deck on it, front and rear. So the only part that was open was where I was sitting. So I'm sitting there and worrying about how I'm going to get back to the boatyard. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, a boat starts to approach me with a searchlight on it. And I realize it's a police boat. It's a New York City police boat. The boat pulls up to where I am, and of course the rain is still coming down. And the policeman sticks his head out of the cabin. He said, "What are you doing out here?" And I said, "I'm trying to get back to Steinway Boatyard." And he says, "Don't you know it's illegal to tie up to a navigation aid?" And I was tied up to this buoy, and it was a navigation aid. It had the lights on and all that stuff. I said, "I do know, officer," but I said I couldn't paddle against the current. So he said, the prison island is right over there. I says, "I know the prison is there." he says, well, he says, got a call that somebody was out there close to the prison, and we were worried that you might be out there trying to do something illegal. And I said, no, officer, I'm just 15 years old, and I'm just out here trying to get back to the boatyard. And he said to me, come on board, we'll tow the boat and we'll bring you back to the boatyard over at Bowery Bay. They got me back over to the boatyard, and I was so thankful. And when I got in the cabin of the boat, it was so nice and warm and so I said, I'd like to stay in here for a while. It was really nice, and it was nice of the officers to offer me a ride back. It was really nice. That's the story of paddling the kayak in the storm back to Bowery Bay.